Greetings, friends, and happy holidays. My name is Frederick-Gray, and in addition to being a part of the worshiping community here at First Parish, Cambridge, I have the great joy of serving as the director for Disciples Peace Fellowship, the oldest denominational peace fellowship in the country. It means that professionally, I train and equip faith leaders, advocates, and activists for the work of building peace and justice in our world. I love my job. I also get to go to any number of Train the Trainers events, and I want to tell you about something that I picked up at one of those events by way of inviting you even deeper into our theme this month at First Parish. You see, for the month of December, our theme is Opening to Joy. Isn't that lovely? There's one particular peace practice that I've picked up over the years that I'd like to share with you. I'm hoping that you might consider trying it on for yourself this holiday season. That this month, as we focus on opening to joy, that this short, simple, daily activity might help you do just that. My dear friend and colleague, Reverend Randy Cuss, first introduced me to this particular practice 3 years ago. And I loved it so much that, well, I've been using it pretty much every day ever since. It's called 3 Gratitudes, thus the title of my sermon today, and it's so named after this beautiful poem by singer, songwriter, and poet extraordinaire Carrie Newcomer. Let me share it with you. Every night before I go to sleep, I say out loud 3 things that I'm grateful for. All the significant, insignificant, extraordinary, ordinary stuff of my life. It's a small practice and humble, and yet I find I sleep better holding what lightens and softens my life, ever so briefly at the end of the day. Sunlight and blueberries, good dogs and wool socks, a fine rain, a good friend, fresh basil and wild phlox. My father's good health, my daughter's new job, that song that always makes me cry, always at the same part, no matter how many times I hear it. Decent coffee at the airport, and your quiet breathing. The stories you told me, the frost patterns on the windows, English horns and banjos, wood thrush and June bugs, the smooth, glassy calm of the morning pond. An old coat, a new poem, my library card, and that my car keeps running despite all the miles. And after 3 things, more often than not, I get on a roll and I just keep on going. I keep naming and listing until I lie grinning, blankets pulled up to my chin, awash with wonder at the sweetness of it all. I wonder, dear friends, if you'd be willing to try out that spiritual discipline for yourself this holiday season. Customize it as you see fit. That's what I always advise people to do with this practice. But as we're opening ourselves to joy this month, I thought it might help to actually catalog some of those things, to document the places where you see joy. Deliberately make time each day to take note of all the, quote, significant, insignificant, extraordinary, ordinary stuff of life. It is a small practice and humble, but one that I've genuinely found has made my life better. And I invite you to try it out. 3 gratitudes. 3 things that brought you joy over the last 24 hours. Can you think of any? Can you name them? Can you claim them? Can you give thanks and celebrate glimpses and glimmers of joy that somehow break in all around us? Here are a few tips that might help you make the practice your own. Tip number 1, find a consistent time of day to do it. Carrie Newcomer voices the strategy that works best for her in the very first line of the poem. She begins, every night before I go to bed. And maybe Her schedule will work for you. Maybe it won't. Personally, I tend to fall asleep before I can finish my 3 things, and then I wake up feeling guilty in the morning, which is more or less exactly the opposite of how you should feel at the end of a peace practice. I know folks that name their 3 gratitudes first thing in the morning. Others pause at a certain set time each afternoon. I've even heard of a family that uses it as the opening conversation starter at the dinner table each evening at supper time. The particular time of day is up to you, but the important thing is to start the habit and follow up each day. I've even found that a daily calendar reminder on my phone is really helpful. Tip number 2. Decide how you will name your 3 gratitudes. It's totally fine to do it silently in your own head. That works for plenty of us. Other folks find it helpful to do something a little more tangible. I know folks who use it as a writing prompt each day, writing them down longhand in a moleskin journal or on a piece of paper. Others text their 3 gratitudes to their best friend or closest co-conspirator. My colleague who introduced the practice to me has a notes file stashed away on his computer with years and years and years worth of things that he's grateful for. Every day he types 3 more onto the list. Tip number 3, know that you can find joy in the biggest or smallest things in life. Carrie Newcomer's poem shows us that too, right? Included in that long litany list of hers is everything from wool socks and weather patterns to a life-changing opportunity for a loved one. It's your list. The key is you aren't looking to catalog the biggest things that happen to you each day. You're looking for what brought you joy, and there is a difference. You just might find that this peace practice is a bit like working out to strengthen your spiritual muscles. That the more you do it, the easier it becomes to spot things to give thanks for. I've certainly had moments where I have said out loud to myself, oh, that is going on the 3 gratitudes list later. But I want to be very clear here. This isn't some sort of works righteousness thing, or a magic spell, or a cheat code for life. Just because you are consistently coming up with 3 things that give you joy doesn't mean that everything is going to be perfect. Anybody who tells you otherwise is selling you something and will probably ask for your credit card number next. Number 4, keep going, even on the bad days. I'll be honest. There are days that I struggle to come up with 3 things. This pandemic has been hard. The holidays can be hard. Sure, they can be a source of great joy, but they can also be a time of heartbreak, grief, and reminders of what we've lost, especially during the pandemic. Insider's tip? There have been downright terrible days where I have struggled to come up with things for my list, and I've filled in that final spot in my 3 gratitudes by saying, I'm grateful that I only have to come up with 3 things. It's not cheating. It's just honest. Number 5, keep going, especially when more comes to mind. This is the flip side of that same coin. On really good days, or let's call them particularly mindful days, when you're noticing every last blessing popping up all around you, you don't have to stop at 3. There's nothing legally binding about the number 3 in this peace practice. You'll notice that Carrie Newcomer names at least 24 different things in her poem. And I might not be a mathematician, but I can for sure confirm that 24 is way more than 3. She even spells it out at the end of the poem. More often than not, I get on a roll and I just keep on going. I keep naming and listing, awash with wonder at the sweetness of it all. There's my reminder for the day. 3 things that I'm grateful for this day. Number one, a strong internet connection that keeps our faith community connected, even when we aren't gathering together in person. Number two, that my friend and colleague shared with me the beautiful words of Carrie Newcomer's poem. And number three, I am grateful for this opportunity to virtually fill the historic pulpit at First Parish, Cambridge, and deliver this sermon and invitation to a faith community that means so much to me and that I love so dearly. I could keep going about how overjoyed I am to have recorded this message in my wife's office with its room raider perfect background, or how grateful I am that the garage door to our apartment complex didn't go up once while I was recording. You didn't have to hear the rumble behind me. I could keep going and going and going with my litany list of gratitudes, but instead, I'm hoping that you will. What are your 3 gratitudes? What's brought you joy over these last 24 hours? I hope that you'll try this small, humble practice. Customize it as you see fit to make it work for you, and then give it a shot again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. Happy holidays, First Parish. I am grateful for you. I hope that you'll find the blessings of peace and joy this day and every day. May it be so for you, for me, and for all of creation. Blessed be, and amen.